The Nightly Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, according to Country Director Takafumi Kadono, the Asian Development Bank is prepared to provide financing for Sri Lanka, provided that debt sustainability and reforms are implemented. Despite new agreements being signed during 2024, Sri Lanka's overall export share under trade agreements fell, according to data from the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. With the ASPI up 5% and the S&P SL20 up 6.7%, the Colombo Stock Exchange enjoyed significant gains today. More than 200 million shares were traded. And investor confidence surged as US stocks surged after President Trump unexpectedly reversed tariffs for numerous countries. The S&P 500 jumps an astonishing 9.5%.
From Studio 24, here's Anuradhi Vikramasinghe.
A very good evening and thank you for joining us. The Asian Development Bank is ready to finance Sri Lanka contingent on debt sustainability and reforms, according to Country Director Takafumi Kadono. The funding could include policy-based loans, investment loans and private sector support.
The Asian Development Bank is set to provide continued financial support to Sri Lanka in 2025 following a successful $808 million loan last year. Country Director Takafumi Kadono emphasized that the bank will offer policy-based loans, investment loans and potentially private sector funding, contingent on the country maintaining debt sustainability and progress on reforms. ADB plans to provide similar budget support in line with Sri Lanka's IMF program, focusing on sectors like energy, finance, tourism and trade. The bank's support will also expand into emerging areas such as tourism and digitalization, aligning with the government's evolving priorities. ADB is also committed to continuing investments in traditional sectors like energy, transport and education. It is expected that around $400 million in budget support will be allocated for Sri Lanka's development. ADB is monitoring ongoing reforms, including those to the Electricity Act, which have been pivotal to the modernization of Sri Lanka's energy sector.
President Anurakumar Dissanayake and opposition party leaders have agreed to pursue an Asia's Code-based bilateral trade deal with the US, following a meeting on the impact of the new US reciprocal tariff system on Sri Lanka. Opposition legislator Harsha De Silva confirmed the common agreement on X, stating that strengthening global trade remains a priority. The proposed deal with the US will focus on specific HS codes to streamline trade negotiations. De Silva also emphasized the urgency of addressing the Economic and Technology Cooperation Agreement with India. The meeting marked a significant step towards improving trade relations and tackling immediate economic challenges. The opposition party has pledged support for the government's efforts in these trade negotiations. This collaborative approach aims to mitigate potential economic setbacks and foster stronger international trade ties. The Coconut Development Authority will host the King Coconut Exporter Forum 2025 to boost Sri Lanka's king coconut industry and global market presence.
The Coconut Development Authority is organizing the King Coconut Exporter Forum in 2025 to strengthen Sri Lanka's king coconut industry. This forum aims to empower the industry and enhance its visibility in global markets. Key stakeholders, including exporters and the industry leaders, will come together to discuss emerging trends and challenges. Topics will include logistics, pricing and regulatory issues that impact the coconut export sector. There will be a focus on promoting innovation in packaging, branding and value addition. Strengthening collaboration across the King Coconut Export Network will be a key theme of the event. The forum is expected to serve as a platform for sharing insights and building partnerships to drive growth. It will play a pivotal role in positioning Sri Lanka as a leading exporter of king coconuts.
Sri Lanka's total export share under trade agreements decreased in 2024 despite new agreements signed during the year. According to data from the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the share fell to 38.9% from 40.1% in 2023, even though export value under trade agreements increased by 4.2% to $4.97 billion. Exports outside preferential trade agreements showed growth in 2024. The highest value of exports was under the GSP scheme, which amounted to $3.98 billion. Sri Lanka also signed its fourth bilateral free trade agreement with Thailand, the SLT-FTA, in February last year. However, exports under the Indo-Sri Lanka Free Trade Agreement and other regional agreements like the GSTP and APTA declined last year. Sri Lanka's trade performance reflects both opportunities and challenges in adapting to changing global market dynamics. Let's take a short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. the nightly business report. The Colombo Stock Exchange saw strong gains today, with the ASPI up by 5% and the S&P SL20 rising by 6.7%. Trading volume exceeded 200 million shares with a turnover of 6.9 billion rupees, reflecting positive investor sentiment. For further insights, we speak with Akna Tennakon from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Anuradhi. Today, equity markets around the world made a remarkable turnaround from the downturn seen in the past couple of days as the US announced a 90-day pause on the reciprocal tariffs implemented on most countries. The Colombo Stock Exchange obviously followed suit as this news reached the markets today. Gaining clarity on the uncertainties surrounding the US's tariff regime and increased bargain buying together propelled today's increase and the positive outcome. The SPI surged as the market opened today and stayed elevated across the day with only minor volatility visible. So the ASPI ended the day in the green at 15,581, having gained an impressive 705 points. This is an increase of 4.7% from yesterday. The banking sector drove this growth, with Commercial Bank, HNB and Sampath Bank emerging as the top three positive contributors to the index, followed by John Keel's Holdings and LOLC Holdings. Today's turnover rose to nearly 7 billion rupees, surpassing yesterday's 3.1 billion level, as well as the monthly average of 2.5 billion rupees. The banking sector was the biggest contributor to today's turnover with a share of 43%. This was followed by the capital goods sector, which produced a contribution of 22%. Thank you.
Sri Lanka has successfully sold 100 billion rupees in bonds, including 75 billion rupees in 2029 bonds and 25 billion rupees in 2034 bonds. The bonds were sold at average yields of 10.64% and 11.21% respectively. For further insights, we speak with Ranjan Ranatunga from First Capital Holdings.
Thanks, Anuradhi. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka, or the CBSL, conducted today a treasury bond auction to raise 100 billion rupees. The auction was offered in two tenures, the 2029 and 2034 maturities, with each maturity planned to raise 75 billion and 25 billion respectively. At today's auction, Central Bank fully accepted the total offered 100 billion rupees, fully accepting the offered 75 billion from the 2029 maturity and fully accepting the 25 billion from the 2034 maturities. The 15-12-29 maturity saw the highest demand between the offered, with bids coming in at 188.6 billion rupees, while the longer tenure offered, which is the 15-9-2034 maturity, saw bids coming in at 86.4 billion rupees. The announced pause placed on reciprocal tariffs by US President Donald Trump yesterday, and the partial rejection of yesterday's T-bill auction gave direction for investors, as today's auction saw rates coming down slightly from yesterday's secondary market quotes. Therefore, the 15-12-29 maturity saw bids accepted at a weighted average yield of 10.64%, while the longer tenor, the 15-9-2034 maturity, saw bids accepted at a weighted average yield of 11.21%.
Gold prices extended sharp gains in Asian trading today, nearing a record high as safe haven demand remains strong amid escalating trade tensions with China, despite President Donald Trump's 90-day pause on reciprocal tariffs for most countries. Spot gold surged 1.6% to $3,123.58 per ounce, while gold futures for June climbed 1.9% to $3,137.61 per ounce. The yellow metal had previously reached a record high of $3,168 per ounce on the 3rd of April following the announcement of tariffs, but losses in other financial markets led to a temporary decline in gold prices as investors sold to cover losses. Gold's renewed momentum was sparked on Wednesday when the new U.S. tariffs officially took effect. Although Trump swiftly followed with a 90-day pause for most countries, he simultaneously raised tariffs on Chinese imports to 125%, fueling concerns over further trade disruptions. Oil prices retreated nearly 3% today as fears of a worsening US-China trade war and potential recession overshadowed the earlier relief brought on by President Donald Trump's 90-day pause on sweeping tariffs against most countries. Brent futures dropped 2.96% to $63.54 a barrel, while US West Texas Intermediate crude futures declined by $1.88 or 3.02% to $60.47. This pullback followed a volatile trading session on Wednesday where crude benchmarks had fallen as much as 7% before recovering to end about 4% higher after Trump's tariff pause announcement. However, the reprieve did not apply to China, with Trump raising tariffs on Chinese imports, further escalating the trade conflict with the world's second largest economy and a major crude consumer. The Sri Lankan rupee has shown a slight appreciation against the US dollar today compared to yesterday. According to the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, both the buying and selling rates of the US dollar have decreased. However, the rupee has generally depreciated against a range of foreign currencies, including those from the Gulf region. Let's now take a closer look at how the rupee's performance is against other major global currencies in today's market. Break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back. Mahindra Last Mile Mobility Limited, India's commercial EV manufacturer, has partnered with Evolution Auto to enter the Sri Lankan market. The collaboration will introduce electric vehicles including the Treo Plus and Treo Zor.
Mahindra Last Mile Mobility Limited, India's top commercial electric vehicle manufacturer, has partnered with Evolution Auto to enter the Sri Lankan market. This collaboration will introduce a range of electric vehicles including the Treo Plus, Treo So PU and Treo So DV for both passenger and goods transport. A new showroom in Colombo has been opened to showcase Mahindra's EV offerings. The partnership aims to provide sustainable transportation solutions to Sri Lanka's growing market. Mahindra's EVs will be available for purchase through Evolution Auto's 3S network in key locations including Gampaha, Ratnapura and Badulla. Both companies plan to expand their dealership network in the coming months. With this venture, Mahindra and Evolution Auto are committed to promoting eco-friendly and cost-effective transport solutions in Sri Lanka.
Cinnamon Life has appointed Sanjeev Hulagalle as Chief Executive Officer and General Manager at City of Dreams, Sri Lanka. Hulagalle brings over 30 years of experience in luxury hospitality and real estate development across 12 countries and 5 continents. His career includes leadership roles in the Maldives, Canada, China and the UAE. Previously, he served as Group President of Hospitality and Real Estate at Colaco, where he drove strategic growth and innovation. Hulagalle also led a major US $210 million development project at Auberge Resorts Collection and held leadership roles for 24 years at 4 Seasons. Beyond hospitality, he invests in AI technologies, residential real estate and wellness brands. Hopper, a new mobile app for ordering three-wheelers, was launched recently in Sri Lanka. Developed by Paymaster, it offers drivers attractive loan facilities and opportunities for additional income.
A new mobile app, Hopper, was launched in Sri Lanka to simplify the process of ordering three-wheelers for daily transportation needs. Developed by Paymaster, the leading digital payment software provider in Sri Lanka, the app offers a range of benefits for both drivers and customers. Through the Hopper app, three-wheeler drivers can access loans up to 50,000 rupees with 0% interest thanks to the artificial intelligence powered by Credi app. Customers can also earn additional sustainable income by introducing new users to the platform. Hopper aims to revolutionize the transportation and financial services sectors, offering convenience and innovation. To access the app's features, users can download the Paymaster mobile app. The launch of Hopper marks a significant step in enhancing Sri Lanka's digital and transportation landscape.
Haley's Plantations officially opened the state-of-the-art Kiruvanangana tea factory in Kirlapane, Mathura, marking a major milestone in Sri Lanka's tea industry. Built with an investment of 780 million rupees, the factory features advanced machinery, enhanced safety measures and a production capacity of 14,000 kilograms per day. It is managed by Talawakali Tea Estates PLC and is ranked the #1 low-grown tea factory by the Colombo Tea Traders Association. The facility aligns with the international environmental standards and has earned numerous certifications including Rainforest Alliance and ISO 22000. Despite challenges such as pandemic and landslides, Haley's ensured uninterrupted operations, emphasizing resilience and stakeholder trust. The opening ceremony featured traditional rituals, speeches from company leaders and highlighted the factory's role in promoting sustainability and regional development. 10 leading Sri Lankan ICT companies will showcase their products and solutions at Japan IT Week 2025, one of Asia's top tech exhibitions from the 23rd to 25th of April at Tokyo Big Sight in Japan.
Sri Lankan ICT companies will showcase their innovations at Japan IT Week 2025 under the Sri Lanka Pavilion, facilitated by Japan International Cooperation Agency. The participation marks a significant milestone in the ongoing collaboration between Sri Lankan Export Development Board and JICA. The initiative, launched last year, aims to strengthen Sri Lanka's ICT sector presence in the Japanese market, supporting around 30 ICT BPM companies, including SMEs and startups. Selected companies will engage in B2B meetings and network sessions in April this year to connect with potential Japanese clients and collaborators. JICA consultants will provide hands-on support to help participants position their solutions according to local market needs. Japan IT Week is one of the world's largest ICT trade shows, providing Sri Lankan companies access to a global audience of industry stakeholders. This collaboration enhances Sri Lanka's international profile and fosters sustainable development in the digital economy.
Rough Clothing is celebrating 27 years of success in Sri Lanka's fashion industry and 3 years in the UAE retail market. Since its founding in 1998, the brand has been known for its premium craftsmanship, comfort and innovative designs. It introduced the first Sri Lankan internationally styled polo shirts and has since set the standard for quality and authenticity. The brand's custom-developed fabric is bio-washed for softness and engineered to resist fading, peeling and shrinkage, making it ideal for active lifestyles in tropical climates. Expanding into the UAE allowed Rough to compete in a fast-paced market and build a loyal customer base with its bold designs and timeless comfort. As Rough evolves into a complete lifestyle brand, its mission remains to reflect the aspirations and identity of its customers globally. Let's take a short commercial break. Global business updates coming on the other side. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Asian stocks surged today, driven by strong gains on Wall Street after US President Donald Trump announced a 90-day pause on new tariffs excluding China. Japan's Nikkei 225 index rose more than 8%, while Topix advanced 7.5%. Shares of Japanese chipmaker Rensi's Electronics Corp soared 14%, reflecting investor optimism. South Korea's Kospi climbed 6%, with tech giants Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix jumping 5% and 10% respectively. Australia's S&P ASX 200 saw a 4.7% increase and Singapore's Straits Times Index rose more than 5%. China's markets also showed resilience despite a tariff hike. India's stock markets remained closed for a public holiday. U.S. stocks soared following President Trump's unexpected reversal on tariffs for many countries, with the S&P 500 jumping an impressive 9.5%, its largest one-day percentage gain since 2008, sparking a surge in investor confidence.
U.S. stocks soared on Wednesday after President Trump's stunning reversal on tariffs, with the Dow climbing nearly 7.9%, the S&P 500 surging a whopping 9.5%, its biggest one-day percentage gain since 2008, and the Nasdaq skyrocketing more than 12%, its largest percentage gain since 2001 and second highest on record. Trump on Wednesday said he would temporarily lower the hefty tariffs he had just imposed on dozens of countries while hiking tariffs on China. Also helping investor sentiment was the U.S. Treasury's $39 billion 10-year note auction, priced at a high yield of 4.435% and showing solid investor demand. Stock high flyers Wednesday included Delta Airlines, which soared over 23% after the carrier beat first quarter profit expectations. Shares of United Airlines surged more than 26%, and American Airlines jumped more than 22%. Microchip technology surged 27%, and fellow chip maker NVIDIA gained more than 18.5%. Among other Magnificent Seven stocks, Tesla climbed over 22%, and Apple and Meta Platforms each added about 15%. Also on Wednesday, minutes from the Federal Reserve's meeting last month were released. Policymakers were nearly unanimous that the economy faced risks of higher inflation and slower growth. Thursday's Consumer Price Index will offer more clues on the direction of inflation and interest rates.
German sports car maker Porsche delivered 8% fewer vehicles globally in the first quarter, hit by declining demand in China and Europe.
German sports car maker Porsche delivered 8% fewer vehicles globally in the first quarter of this year. It said on Tuesday it had been hit by falling demand in China and Europe. Global deliveries stood at 71,470 cars worldwide, with deliveries down 42% in China year-on-year and by a tenth in Europe. In Germany, Porsche's home market, deliveries slumped just over a third to around 7,500 vehicles. A bright spot, though, in North America, deliveries rose 37% over the same period. The growth was partly attributed to import-related delays in the delivery of some model lines in the same period last year. Ahead of the results, one analyst said that luxury car brands like Porsche and Ferrari are most exposed to US tariffs. German carmaker Mercedes-Benz said on Monday that its first quarter unit sales of cars and vans fell 7%, also hit by declining demand in China and Europe.
That's all from us on the Nightly Business Report for today. We'll see you again tomorrow with the latest updates across the business globe. Till then, I'm Anuradhi Vikramasinghe. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.